Think of the greatest trick in history. What comes to mind? For thousands of years, one story has stood above all others: the Trojan horse. The myth is epic. The mighty Greek army has been fighting the city of Troy for 10 long years. They can't break the massive walls. They can't defeat the Trojan heroes. They are stuck. So they come up with a desperate genius plan. They build a gigantic, hollow wooden horse and leave it on the beach as a gift to the gods, pretending to sail away in defeat. The Trojans see the horse. They believe they've won the war. They drag this incredible trophy inside their city walls and celebrate. But in the dead of night, hidden Greek soldiers creep out of the horse's belly. They open the city gates for their waiting army, and Troy is destroyed forever. It's a story of cunning, deception, and ultimate victory. But here's the shocking question that historians are asking today. What if it never happened? What if the most famous trick in history was just a simple mistake in translation? What if the Trojan horse wasn't a horse at all? First, we have to ask, was Troy even real? For a long time, people thought the Trojan War was just a great story from Homer's poem, the Iliad, just a myth. Then, in the 1870s, a businessman and archaeologist named Heinrich Schliemann went looking for it, and he found it. Using clues from the ancient text, he started digging in modern-day Turkey, and there it was, the ruins of a mighty ancient city. It had been destroyed by a massive fire in a great war. It was real. The city of Troy was real. This discovery was huge. It proved that Homer's epic poem might not be just a story. It might be based on real events. So, if the city was real and the war was real, what about the horse? This is where history gets weird. Archaeologists have found no evidence of a giant horse. No pieces of wood, no carvings, nothing from that time that shows a giant horse. So, if the horse wasn't real, why is it the most famous part of the story? The answer might lie not in archaeology, but in language. To solve this mystery, we need to understand the people who fought at Troy. The Greeks of the Bronze Age were master fighters, but their greatest weapon wasn't a sword. It was the earthquake. The god of earthquakes, Poseidon, was also the god of horses. This connection is the key. In ancient Greek, the word for earthquake was often linked to the pounding hooves of horses. The ground shaking was like a giant horse stampeding. Now let's look at Troy. The city's walls were incredibly strong. The only way to break them wouldn't be with a simple trick, but with a force of nature, an earthquake. Historians now have a compelling theory. What if the story of the Trojan horse was never about a literal wooden animal? What if the Greeks, after years of failing, finally got lucky? What if a massive earthquake shook the region, cracking the mighty walls of Troy? The Greeks, who worshipped Poseidon, would have seen this as a gift from their god. They might have screamed, "Poseidon's horse has shattered their walls," meaning the earthquake has given them victory. Over centuries, as the story was told and retold, the meaning got lost. Poseidon's horse, the earthquake, became a giant wooden horse. A metaphor for divine intervention became a literal story about soldiers hiding in a statue. A natural disaster was rewritten as a brilliant military trick. The myth was born from a simple misunderstanding. But there's another theory, one that is even more shocking. What if the Trojan horse was not a mistake in translation, but a terrifying piece of ancient military technology? In the ancient world, armies used giant siege engines to break down walls. These were massive, wheeled towers covered in wet animal hides to protect them from fire. Soldiers would be inside, pushing them right up to the city walls. What did these siege engines look like? They were often given animal names for luck, names like the ram or the boar. And most importantly, they were sometimes called the horse. Now imagine you are a Trojan soldier on the wall. You see the Greeks building a huge new siege tower. They've painted a name on it, perhaps the symbol of a horse. After a fierce battle, the Greeks retreat, leaving this broken, damaged machine behind. You think, great, we've defeated their new weapon, and you drag it inside the city as a trophy. But the machine isn't empty. Greek commandos are hiding inside its armored shell. That night, they creep out and open the gates. In this version, the Trojan horse was real, but it wasn't a gift. It was a broken-down tank, abandoned as part of the plan. The myth is based on a real, clever use of ancient technology that was so impressive, it became legendary. So, which is it? A misunderstood earthquake? Or a secret weapon? We may never know for sure. But that's the power of myth. It takes a seed of truth and grows it into a story so incredible that it echoes for thousands of years.